Dave Zenovers here, and welcome back to another episode of the Political Freedom Fighters Podcast. Now, as you all are aware, the 2026 elections are coming up, and this month is the month to start filing to run for office. And with that being said, I've managed to get a candidate for local office to come onto my podcast. This person is running as a Libertarian for, let me see if I can pull this up, Lincolnton City Council, Ward 3 as a Libertarian. So with that being said, I want to introduce to you all Jedi Lykins. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
I'm doing awesome. I'm glad you're doing well. So first off, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Jedi Lykins. I'm 25 years old, and I live here in Lincolnton, North Carolina. I currently work for our local school district's Exceptional Children's Department.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Feel free to tell me more about this.
Yeah, I used to be a detention officer for our local sheriff's office in the jail, and so public service and serving my community has always been a big thing for me. So that's what I've dedicated my life to, and I love working with these kids. They really get a hold of your heart, and
that's understandable. So let's talk about your history. Like, what is your history with what's your history in general?
You mean like with the party?
Yeah, that as well as life. Anything, history about yourself, including that of the party, if you wish.
Yeah, sure. I grew up around here. I kind of had, I guess you could say I kind of had my political awakening later in life. I am still young, but throughout most of high school, I was, growing up in the South, I was, we were Republicans, and, that's the team you were on. And it wasn't until that I got in, like, working for the government and being in, I guess, kind of that aspect of life that I started seeing where a lot of the pitfalls in that were. And so that kind of led me down a path to looking into libertarianism, and it just rang like to me like this is what I've believed my whole life, and so I didn't realize that there was another option out there that actually aligned more closely with what I believed in, as opposed to being stuck in that same two-party system that a lot of people feel that they're nailed down to. And I started looking into it more and reading up on Murray Rothbard and the Ron Paul revolution back in 2008, and I fell in love with it, and I haven't turned back since.
That's awesome, man. I hear that Murray Rothbard and Ron Paul are very popular figures in the Libertarian Party.
Yes, they definitely are. Rothbard's probably the person you could say is the founder of the party. Honestly, he basically wrote the book on libertarianism, literally. And then Ron Paul is probably the closest we've ever gotten to having a libertarian president, and so they're probably the two biggest figures in our movement.
That's understandable. So, why are you running for Lincolnton City Council Ward 3 as a Libertarian?
So, our city council, they like spending money, and it's just gotten out of hand. And we have on our city council, it's just about all Republicans on there right now. And there's, the Republican Party says they're supposed to be the party of small government and, low taxes and cut spending, but they haven't seemed to be doing that lately. And so seeing all the money that they've dumped into capital projects, and you could have $1 million project here or a couple hundred small projects that adds up here, and it's raising taxes, and it's this people don't know where this money is going to. And so that's the main reason why I'm wanting to run, is I'm wanting to cut the spending that's happening right now.
That's understandable. And I guess before we go over what your opinion is on the Republican Party so far, tell me, what is the Lincolnton City Council and what does it do?
So they're the main legislative board for the city of Lincolnton. So I guess you could kind of view them like a Congress, but for our small town. So it is a panel of 4 people, and it is the mayor is the one who runs the city council meetings and who is kind of in charge of that. So they're responsible for setting the tax rate and approving any proposal that comes before their desk. For zoning hearings, if you're wanting to bring a business into town, they have to approve first. If you're say if you work for the city and you want $50,000 to buy this software for the city or something, it all has to go through the city council.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned tax rate. What are the tax rates in Lincolnton County, in Lincolnton City?
So right now, I believe we are at. I'm trying to think right offhand. I believe we're on 50 cents on every $100. That might be for the county, though. I would have to look more specifically on that, but I believe for every $100, it's around 50 cents for every $100.
All right, that's actually good to know. And you mentioned zoning hearings as well. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so actually recently there was a zoning hearing a few months ago where we had there's this sweet lady. She opened up a hair salon, and it's in a residential area, and her church was allowing her to use their fellowship hall, which is for those that don't know, a fellowship hall for a church. It is another building that's usually an annex part of the church that they use for social gatherings and things such as that. And so they were allowing her to use that space to run her hair salon business, which was her and I believe 2 or 3 other ladies. And her hair appointments would last roughly an hour. So there would be maybe 5, 6 people in the parking lot at one time. And it was the church, so they had a pre-existing space for people to park and not bog down traffic. And our city council decided that she wasn't allowed to do that and completely shut her down. And it's things like that, not having the right to do with your space that you wish to do with your own space. That's something that really drives into my heart of, we need to change that, because there should be absolutely no reason that lady was not allowed to run that space.
Yeah, and I actually honestly agree with that, especially when you think that Republicans are supposed to be about for freedom and like fiscal responsibility and capitalism, but they're not, from the sounds of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're exactly correct.
And you know what? I guess since we're on the topic of the Republicans, there is a Republican that's also running for the same seat. Apparently, his name is Todd Burgin. And tell me, do you have an opinion on him or the Party in general? If so, what's your opinion on them?
I'm not that familiar with the man running, so I couldn't really attest to him. I would hope that he's a great person. I'd love to reach out to him soon and have a sit down with him. The person who I thought was running ended up running for mayor, and so I'm not really sure who I'm running against right now. So I'm having to backtrack and look into them, and I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with them one day, because no matter who wins, I want what's best for the city. And so I'm not in this to sling mud at anybody or anything like that. So I would love to have a conversation, get to know them, and if they're the ones who end up winning, then I wish them the best. But obviously I'm trying to be the one that wins. But I don't want there to be any blood in the water or mudslinging or anything like that. But our Republican Party as a whole, I mean, it seems like it is just a modge podge of people of varying views right now. It doesn't really seem to be that fiscally conservative type of crowd that the Republican Party used to be. And that's one of the reasons why I left the Republican Party, is because it's just tax and spend policies that I've been seeing from our local Republican candidates and elected officials. They just want to spend money. And when you spend money, that money's got to come from somewhere. And I know we've gotten a lot of local subsidies from stuff, but that doesn't come near covering what the amount of money that they've been spending here lately.
Damn, that's insane. So, for those of you that don't know, as of this video's recording, it is just currently Jedi Lykins and Todd Bergen who are running for this seat. As of this video's recording, there's no Democrats running at this time. And you know what? Since we're talking about the Democrats, how do you feel about the Democrats?
Whew. That's a tough one. So, yeah, coming from a background of being a Republican for most of my life, they were the bad guys growing up. But, I guess in growing up and maturing and then coming to the beliefs that I'm at now, I realized that I do agree with them on more issues than I thought in the past. However, I'm still adamantly against a lot of the things that they support. Which, if you're wanting to talk about spending money, the Democrat Party is notoriously about spending money. And again, when you spend money, taxes go up. And I'm a strong believer that your hard-earned money should stay in your pocket and not be going to pad somebody's budget.
That's true. And basically, from the sounds of what you told me, it doesn't seem like the Democrats are really good at winning. So why is it that the Democrats can't win win a seat like this? Like, what's wrong with the Democrats?
Yeah. So, excuse me. So in our town, it's a rural, pretty rural North Carolina town. We tend to lean more to the right in this area, and so a lot of times Democrats have a hard time pulling it out. And a lot of that is, while I do heavily disagree with the Democratic Party on a lot of stuff, I feel bad because a lot of the people running are only losing because they have a D next to their name and not an R. And unfortunately, it's going to be a cultural thing. We have to wake people up to the fact that there are people who have ideas to better our town that don't have an R next to their name, and that it's okay to vote for somebody who is on a different team than you are. And you're not betraying anyone by doing so. You just care about your town and and a lot of people that I speak to, they heavily agree with me on a lot of the things that I speak about. And when I tell them I'm a libertarian, they're like, "Oh, I can't vote for you. I'm a Republican." And so that's the thing that I'd like to try to change in this campaign, by going around and knocking on doors and getting to know people face to face, to let them know that I have a plan for this city, and I would like to make a sizable change and make a difference and make your lives better. And you can, just because I don't have an R next to my name, you can still vote for me.
Yeah, and in fact, I would like to say that voting for a Libertarian is not a wasted vote. Please, if you do like your Libertarian, please vote for a Libertarian, because Libertarians have worked their ass off to get on the ballot for like so many years.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I'm grateful that North Carolina has ballot access for Libertarian candidates, or else this wouldn't have been possible for me. I would have had to run as either a Republican or a Democrat, or as unaffiliated, and I would have had to gotten signatures to be able to have my name on the ballot. So a lot of states, they can't say that. What state was it that was having ballot access issues here lately? I'm trying to think. I'm wanting to say maybe Iowa or Ohio or something. But anyways, those folks over there, the libertarians over there, they're having a hard time. They can't get their name on the ballot unless they sacrifice their principles and put an R or D next to their name.
Yeah, and that is actually very, very concerning. I've also been hearing about what's been going on with New York as well. It's been a complete utter disaster over the last few years. Apparently, Libertarian Larry Sharpe did make an attempt to run for governor in 2022, but the Republican Party and the Conservative Party of New York, which aims to be a quote-unquote third party, but really served more as a puppet, basically threw Larry Sharpe off the ballot because they saw Larry as like a spoiler.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just the duopoly right there. People, when they find out that you're running, they're going to try to do everything they can to make sure you don't get elected if you're a third party candidate. And I'm honestly surprised that a Democrat hasn't thrown their hat in the ring yet just to bog down my votes. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. The Republicans are very corrupt, but I also believe that the Democrats are also very corrupt. One of the main reasons why I actually despise Governor Roy Cooper is because of his appointments that he made to the State Board of Elections, particularly with Shabanu Duffy Millen, who has been, I would say, the most corrupt member of the State Board of Elections due to her basically due to her voting records against third parties in general. And we're talking about her party vote with the Greens back in 2022 when she and her party decided to get the Greens off the ballot, but luckily her plan failed. In 2023, when she was actually the only vote to basically reject no labels from getting on the ballot, no labels did end up getting on the ballot, and for her actions for 2024 by her attempts to basically throw the Constitution, We the People, and Justice for All parties off the ballot. But luckily, all that ended up failing, and even now in 2025, me, Rob Yates, and a whole bunch of other parties are actually currently fighting against the State Board elections and the Rules Review Commission right now on changes in the petitioning process that are going to make it harder for third parties and independents to get on the ballot. And by the way, those rules are currently under legislative review. They won't even be discussed again until next year, and hopefully by then we'll be able to get some legislature to pass a bill to basically to get some of these rules defeated.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing to think about, that you have people in that high of a position who are actively trying to silence people. And that's why I think especially the local North Carolina Libertarian Party, as well as the party as a whole, I'm grateful that they're focusing on supporting local candidates in these grassroots efforts to try to get them on the ballot, get people to run, because we can't make a difference if we don't have names on the ballot. And I think I'm the first libertarian to be running in Lincoln County in God knows probably ever, if I'm being honest. So we need to support the movement of having more local candidates put their names on the ballot. I only had to pay $36 to run. That was my filing fee. There's a lot of work that goes into it. If you're trying to win, you're probably going to spend a lot more money than that. But if you have $36, go put your name on the ballot. You have until December 19th. This is how we make a difference, is by running and getting our ideas out there.
Yes, and I would also like to mention that, did you have to go through any paperwork when you had to file?
Yeah. So when you file, so beforehand, I opened a campaign committee. So you have to go in and fill out a bunch of paperwork to do that. That way I could go ahead and announce and start getting some activities going. And then when you file, they fill out most of it for you. When you actually file your notice of candidacy, you pretty much just pay them the filing fee and put your signature on one or two forms. But you also have to take a treasurer training course, which I believe it was a 4-hour class. It just goes over the campaign finance side of things, basically making sure you don't accidentally commit a felony. Because campaign finance rules, there's a lot of them, and you have to abide by it. And so it's just making sure you're educated on that so that you don't accidentally mess up and get fined or, Lord forbid, arrested for anything. So Other than that, that's all you have to do. Fill out some paperwork, take a little 4-hour class, pay your filing fee. And if you want to win, you're probably going to have to spend a little bit more money, get some yard signs. You're going to have to put some work in. You're going to have to go knock on doors. Starting the first of this year, that's my plan, is to knock on every single door in Lincoln and the city of Lincolnton and get my name out there and meet the people where they're at and let them know who I am and what I stand for.
All right, that's actually pretty awesome. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go over your platform. What is your platform exactly?
Yeah, so excuse me. Obviously, as a libertarian, I'm very much for free market. I'm for the free market and pro individual liberty and pro property rights. That is the three biggest things that I'm running on. So our local city council, they like to stick their hand in the local economy. And as a libertarian, I'm against that. When the government tries to stick their hand into the free market, it always leads to taxes going up. It leads to property values going out of whack. It leads to businesses failing, and the government has no business sticking their hand in it. So that's one of the main things that I'm running on, is shutting that down and also cutting the spending. We're spending too much money. I've said it a million times, but sometimes you have to drive the idea home. Like, we're spending millions of dollars for a small town, and that it's asinine. We literally, our Parks and Rec department, my church offered 3 soccer fields to them for free to use, and they told us no, because they're more content with spending money than to use what churches should be for, which is to support our community and to fill those voids, so that government is not having to steal money out of your wallet to pay for it. And that's what we're trying to do, and they're not wanting us to do that. And so things like that, cutting the spending and ending all of these reckless capital projects that we have going on, that is the main thing that I'm running on right now. People are too focused. We have a lot of issues of a lot of bars popping up, and we recently passed a social district last year, where, like, a mini Bourbon Street of sorts, where a few blocks of town you can have alcohol outside, and people are more up in arms about that than they are of the rising homeless problem that we have in our town, or the fact that we have no affordable housing here in the city of Lincolnton. And we need to shift our focus more to the things that matter rather than things like that. And so that's the main thing that I'm running on.
Awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned about affordable housing. I actually talked to like someone from the Ford Party. I believe it was Lenny Friedman. Yeah, Lenny Friedman. I've had him on my podcast. And before we did that interview, we actually talked a little bit about affordable housing. Not in the podcast though. So how can we have like affordable housing and reduce homelessness?
Excuse me. It's pretty simple. It's zoning. We right now, we have people on our city council who just want to bring in townhouses, and it's not sustainable. They want it to be this new glossy, glimmery town that we're not. I mean, we don't have the space for it. We don't have the people who can afford to live here. People are moving from out of state into these homes, not people in our community. They can't afford these homes that are being built. So it all comes down to zoning.
So basically, would you be in favor of like reforming zoning laws?
Oh, 100%, 1,000%. We right now it's overregulated, and we need to cut it down tenfold. But a lot of that stuff we can't do on the city level because we have to abide by state statutes. So unfortunately, a lot of that, it's going to be on the state level, but I'm going to try to do whatever I can on the city level to be able to scale back on all of these zoning regulations that we have.
That's understandable. And if you do get elected, I really wish you the best of luck because honestly, I do not trust my state government. I do not trust the state government at all. Honestly.
Mm-mm. I don't either. I don't either. It our state representatives they have a track record. Let's just say that they have a track record,
Yeah, and it's
and that.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's a big thing for me too. Our city council has. I brought this up at a meeting a couple months ago, I believe. This year they have unanimously voted yes on all but two things. One of those was the sweet lady with the hair salon, which they unanimously voted no on her being able to open up her hair salon. And the one thing that they had a split decision on was something to do with alcohol, allowing alcohol at a special event. And it was a 50-50 split. And the mayor was the tie-breaking vote on that. The rest of the time, they've been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on this and that and this and that, unanimously voting yes every single time. And all it is complacency. And I'm not scared to go up there and say, hey, you need to wake up. You need to pay attention to what you're voting on. And that's something that I've gone and done several times, but it hasn't seemed to wake people up yet. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running, is because they've become complacent. City bureaucrats will come in and say, we want to spend $50,000 on this, or we want to spend $10,000 on that. And they just rubber stamp it every single time. And that's the main thing that I want to change.
Yeah, that is understandable, and I especially am pretty still angry at the Republican state government, the General Assembly, because like last year when they passed a bill to transfer the powers to who will appoint the members of the Board of Elections from the governor, who was a Democrat, to the auditor, which by the time like that person got elected would be a Republican. Apparently, they disguised it under the guise of, oh, we need to send money to Western North Carolina. And as far as I'm aware, that money has been sent to Western North Carolina, and apparently it's still a disaster.
Yep. Oh yeah. They like to try to shove problems to the wayside by throwing money at it. And and the fact of the matter is, they're throwing all this money at it, but it's still not fixed. And that's the main principle of libertarianism, is when the government says, hi, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, they're lying straight to your face.
Yeah, fair enough. So let's talk about property rights.
Yeah, like I said, the example I gave earlier of the lady trying to open up a hair salon, you should be able to do, if it's your property, you should be able to do with as you please. I mean, and a lot of that comes down to zoning regulations of scaling those back. Because right now, like if I wanted to open up a business, I would have to go through a massive amount of red tape to open up a business right here. And you're entitled to your property. The government you should not be renting your property out to the government. And that's right now, that's the system that we live in. And I want to do what I can to be able to scale that back.
That is very, very understandable. And let's see here. You are pro individual liberty. Let's talk about that as well.
Yeah, I believe that, the non-aggression principle, don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. Other than that, the government should not decide how you live your life. And it's as simple as that. I will always stand by protecting your individual liberty and your individual rights. And government, if given the chance, will always trample on those rights if given the opportunity to. And it's just a matter of time before we start seeing that happening more and more. And I want to be able to be a brick wall that stops that before it's too late.
I'm actually happy to hear you say that because honestly, I don't think the state government really gives a damn. And I'll be honest with you, with the state government growing more and trying to grow more and more and more every day, passing new regulations and all that stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think there will ever be an unaffiliated, an official unaffiliated candidate in the U.S. Senate, because the petition, the signatures that you need to gather, and for not just the U.S. Senate but also for president and other statewide offices, it's ridiculous. For some odd reason, when it comes to the statewide offices for unaffiliated candidates, it's much more strict there than with third parties, which doesn't make sense. And to top it off, when it comes to the date on when they need to gather the signatures by, our state is actually the earliest out of all 50 states in the country, and which is, by the way, for unaffiliated candidates, it's in like March, in like the first Tuesday of March. A deadline, by the way, that was so bad in 2024, it actually got pushed to April. Still, it was still earlier than any other state in the country, but it just shows that this regulation doesn't work, and this regulation needs to freaking change. And let's be real, this government will never listen to us.
Yeah, and it's just to keep the status quo. While they're in power, they're going to be happy to keep themselves there, and that's becoming quite evident in what we're seeing. They're going to do whatever they can to snuff any other movement out, whether it be libertarianism or whether it be the Green Party or any third party candidate. They're going to do what they can to snuff it out so that they don't lose their traction. Right now we live in a system where pretty much you can't just go and run for office. You have to be affiliated with a party, pretty much, or you can run unaffiliated, but you have zero shot of winning pretty much right now. And even if you're affiliated with a third party, you have a very hard hill to climb to be able to actually win the office. And it's something culturally that we need to change in the cultural zeitgeist of kind of opening people's eyes up to, hey, it's two wings of the same bird. There's people who actually want to make a difference. Let's pay attention to these people. But then again, it's also the power hungry side of that too, of the people in power right now wanting to keep hold of that and silence anybody else who goes against the duopoly.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you mentioned the cultural aspect of this as well, because historically speaking and culturally speaking, our culture here when it comes to third parties and independents has been very unfriendly throughout our state's history. And that's part of the reasons why I made this podcast, is because I want to end that legacy like once and for all.
Oh yeah, and I greatly appreciate what you're doing with it too. Being able to have somebody shine a light on third-party candidates, it really makes a difference, because without it, I mean, there would be nothing. Like, you're on your own pretty much, having to go do the work yourself. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of hard work that I have ahead of me, but having something like this, it really does help the movement. I was lucky. Our local newspaper actually ran an article about me a few weeks ago, and that's the biggest thing that I could ask for, is having my name and my campaign being put out there like that by a reputable source here in my town. Because a lot of third party candidates, they don't get that, and that's something that I've been very grateful for to have going forward in my campaign.
That's awesome. And I'm also glad that you mentioned about newspapers as well, because I hear like people are using like newspapers less and less, but meanwhile at the same time there is a demand in the rise for physical media, such as books, DVDs, and probably newspapers as well. So how can you as a libertarian like promote like more physical media?
I guess by using, right now it would be by using digital media to promote physical media. I guess you could say, because that's what everyone's using right now. And there's good and bad to both. But I really do. Our local town, we're really big about. We've kept our local newspaper alive all this time, and I mean, I still get it delivered to my house twice a week, our local newspaper, and a lot of people still do. But it's going out, and I'm like to try to do whatever I can to keep it open and to keep it active because, I mean, without the media, I mean, what do we have to safeguard things, especially on the local level? I mean, yeah, we have some. You could start an online thing, but it's hard to gain traction these days. And when you already have a reputable source like that physical print media, being able to keep that alive, to keep people in check, is something that we have to cling to and hold on to it.
That's true. So let's talk about the free market.
Yeah, the government shouldn't stick its hand in it. If I was a business owner and a policy that the local government issued led to my business failing, I would be pretty upset. And that's what's happening right now. Like especially our social district, it was meant to bolster our downtown, and what's happening is we're having businesses leave. We had a brewery here in town that was just outside of the social district line, and it wasn't a year after the social district came to town. They had to shut their doors because they lost all their business because they were right outside that line. So when local government tries to stick their hand and artificially manipulate the market, that's what leads to businesses failing. And I'm not going to be the one that makes you lose your livelihood to be able to support your family. And so I'm not going to stick my hand in that.
Yeah, that is pretty understandable, and I think most people do tend to agree that the United States does not operate on a free market at all. So, what kind of market is the United States running on?
Bailouts, just about, and subsidies. That's what we're running on right now. The government gives money to whoever they want to, that makes themselves look good, and they support certain businesses and let other ones fail. And the businesses that are alive and thriving today are only there because the government has stuck their hand in the market. And the rest of them have failed because they can't compete with when your government is supporting your competitor pretty much.
Yeah, it's freaking insane. So, I guess, is there any other issue that you would like to talk about that you feel like nobody else is talking about, but you feel like people should talk about?
We've pretty much covered my platform, but I would have to say, just touching back on third party candidates again, and like getting out there. That's just the biggest thing for me. That I'm not some corporate bigwig or someone who's been in office before. This is my first time ever running for office. Um, I work in the school system. I don't get paid that much. So I'm not a rich man. I'm just a young guy who's seen how government has gotten way too big and how it's affecting the lives of people in my community. And I want to make a difference in that. And so I just want to be able to shine a light on that and be an example for other people who are like me, who are like, man, I could never run for office. I'm just Joe Schmo over here. You can pay your $36, get your name on the ballot. If you lose, you lose, but you're getting the ideas that are going to change your community out there. And the only thing we have is people. And if people don't run, our ideas are going to fail. So we need more people to stick their necks out there and to get their names put on the ballot.
That is true, and I guess before I go over the next thing that I want to talk about, I do want to say to you, Jedi, tell the Libertarians. Once again, I said congratulations for next, because next year the Libertarian Party, I believe, is going to be approaching the 50th. The Libertarian Party of North Carolina is going to be facing its 50th anniversary of the formation of the state party, and that's pretty awesome, man.
I know. I'm excited for it, and I'm looking forward to the party continuing to grow here in North Carolina. Um, right now, not a lot of counties have local affiliates, and that's Lincoln County doesn't have a local Libertarian affiliate party, and so getting that grassroots effort going to get the party growing more and more every day is something that I look forward to being a part of and to help and promote.
Really, Lincoln County doesn't even have a county affiliate?
Does not have a county affiliate, no. So that's something I'm working on. We're going to try to get something going here soon, this election cycle.
That's actually awesome. And you know what? If you want to, after this interview, I can send you I can get you into contact with Rob Yates, and maybe you two can like talk to each other about maybe setting up a county chapter for the Libertarians.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right. I guess next up, do you have plans on making a YouTube channel?
A YouTube channel. Whew. I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead yet. I have a campaign Facebook page and stuff like that, but it's not really something that's crossed my mind. But I wouldn't necessarily say no to it.
That's awesome. And we actually still have quite a bit of time left. So, anyways, you mentioned, so apparently the Libertarian Lincolnton City Council, apparently you're running in the third ward. How many wards are there exactly?
There are four. So the way our city works, and every town council or city council operates a little differently in terms of how you vote for candidates and how you run. So for Lincolnton, the way it works is we have four wards and then the mayor. So every election cycle, every 2 years, two seats are open. So right now, this election cycle, it'll be 3 and 1 that are open, and I'm running for seat 3. But you have to live in the ward that you're running for, but the entire city votes for you at large. So it's not just the people in your ward that vote for you, it's the entire city.
Damn. Does that get confusing?
It does get very confusing, and a lot of people they just don't know stuff like this. And like I've talked to people before too who um they'll they'll go not to a primary election but to a general election and say, well, I'm a registered Republican or I'm a registered Democrat. I can only vote for Republicans and Democrats. There's some people who think that because of how convoluted they make the system right now. So one of my main goals is going to be to educate people on the way these systems work so that hopefully we can see a boost in numbers this November.
All right, that's actually pretty cool to hear. Let's see here. What else can we talk about? We've talked about the free market. We talked about pro-individual liberty. We've talked about property rights. We've talked about affordable housing. Um, I guess since you did mention churches, how much of a role do like churches play in the in Lincolnton City?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, me personally, I'm a deacon at my church that I go to. It's here in Lincolnton. We're at part of the South. We're part of the Bible Belt. We have a church on every corner. So and the local church plays a massive role in people in the community's lives. So being able to allow them to do what they want to do for the community is going to be paramount because, like I said, our church, we offer three soccer fields to the city parks and rec to use, and they told us no. So being able to allow the local churches to have a vested interest in the community and to be able to provide services to the community that we can in turn cut from the budget and save money and lower taxes is going to be something that I'm really going to push for.
Yeah, and hearing that the city government said no to 3 soccer stadiums, would that make them anti-exercise?
It's making me think that. It's making me think that. Or more than likely, they're anti free stuff, apparently. I always say if it's free, it's for me. But apparently, our government they like stealing money out of your pocket to pay for stuff rather than taking something offered to them for free. So,
Yeah, especially for the fact that out of all many years ago when people were talking about like obesity and making that like a cultural issue, apparently it was like the right that was supposed to be anti-obesity. But hearing that, it's like, what?
I know, I know, it's crazy.
It's insane. So, I guess what else can we talk about? Damn, what else can
Well, we haven't talked about the elephant in the room yet, which is my name. I was named after Star Wars, so I just want to put that out there. A lot of people ask if it's short for something, but no, it's just Jedi. So I just wanted to clear the air on that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Would you be open to like doing something like more of a Star Wars theme for your camp as part of your campaign because you're like the Return of the Jedi or whatever?
um, I would love to do that. However, I want to win too. So I don't know if I want to do that just yet. Maybe if I win this time and I run for reelection, we'll do a whole Return of the Jedi campaign goal. And we'll deck the signs up. Hopefully, Disney won't give me a cease and desist letter if I put lightsabers on my campaign signs, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad that you mentioned cease and desist because I've actually been hearing about some YouTubers getting cease and desist letters from big corporations for basically using their stuff without permission from the big corporations. It's freaking insane.
Yeah, I know, and it's all petty stuff too. It seems to be for me. It's like just a minute little clip of something that they use in one of their YouTube videos, and they get the videos taken down over it. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and I guess this leads to me talking about copyright law on accident as well. So I would love to see copyright reform to like make it more free market, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I agree too. It's I'm not too well versed on it. There's not a whole lot you can do on the local level for that. But yeah, we definitely in a lot of aspects of the free market as well. They right now they're bogged down by government regulation and red tape right now, and it's something that we need to completely trim it and cut it back.
That's understandable. So, what are you doing right now, like in terms of your campaign, anyways?
So right now, we're getting some media together. We're getting our campaign signs and our brochures and stuff together, and we're getting ready to start knocking on doors the first of the year. Um, like I said, I plan to knock on every door in the city of Lincolnton by election day and speak to every single citizen, which is going to be some long hours in the afternoons, but that's my goal. I mean, the people, they deserve to hear what you have to say. And a lot of times in local elections, people don't even know who the candidates are when they get to the ballot box, if they even go. Um, so being able to get out there and actually speak to people face to face is going to be the biggest thing that I do for my campaign. Um, because and people appreciate that too. You can sit here and post on social media all you want about I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but if you don't get out there and actually meet people and talk to them and hear what what they have to say and the struggles they're going through right now, you're not going to make a lasting connection with them. You're not going to know what it is that actually matters to them to be able to help them once you're in office. And so that's something that I want to do. I want to be able to actually help the people of my town when I'm in office, because I'm not running to say, oh, look at me, I'm on the city council. I couldn't give any less of a crap about that. I care about making a difference and making the lives of the citizens of Lincolnton better. And that's the only reason I'm running.
That's understandable. And I guess while we're talking about Lincolnton, how big is Lincolnton City, anyways?
I'd say we're your average small town. We're about an hour north of Charlotte, so we're slowly starting to get absorbed by that suburbia that is ever expanding from Charlotte. You have your Huntersville area, and your that sort of area. It's starting to creep into our town too. So we're seeing our numbers growing a lot here lately. We've had a sizable amount of growth in the last 10 years, and so with that comes more issues and more things that need to be addressed, and it leads to right now our current city council seeing it as an opportunity to pad their budget, basically, and to use the growth that we're seeing in order to further their interest rather than the interests of the people who are currently living here.
That's insane. Damn, like more issues. Like what kind of more issues are we talking here?
Yeah, so you have the issue of roads. You have the issue of all of these subdivisions coming into the town. You have our wastewater treatment facility is going to be getting close to capacity soon. So we're going to have to take a look at what's going to happen with that. And we're going to need a new wastewater treatment facility. And my fear is that they're going to go with the most expensive route on that and make it to where it's a lot of money out of people's wallets to be able to do that, instead of actually taking a look at what we have now and how we can do it to where we save costs and still have an effective system.
Damn. They may have to spend they may resort to adding a new wastewater treatment facility. That's insane.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, and probably about 5 years, I believe, is we're looking at probably needing to open a new wastewater treatment facility.
Oh my God. How much is it going to cost?
That I don't know yet. And that's going to be a big thing that in the next 5 years that we're going to have to look at. And our city council is already showing their true colors and wanting to spend as much money as possible right now. And when you need something, you need something, but there's a way of doing it to where you can save costs. And right now, with our city council's track record, I don't see them doing that.
Yeah, and basically it does seem like it might have to be up to local people like you to solve the wastewater problem.
Yep, it's looking to be.
Yeah, there really need to be some solutions on how we can actually utilize the wastewater to the benefit of everyone. Like maybe using wastewater as for me, I don't know, maybe energy or something, or literally anything that will that can make jobs.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly, and when more jobs and bringing more jobs into the city is something that you want, because it bolsters the local economy, and it's something that's natural, that's going to be coming anyway. And that's the biggest thing. local government, they like to artificially control the market. And we're seeing all this growth, but it's not natural growth. It's because the government's sticking their hand in it. And what we need natural growth that is going to be for the betterment of our citizens and our business owners, and that's going to bring jobs to Lincolnton, but it needs to be natural. It can't be the government sticking their hand in the market.
That's understandable. And would you argue that the Lincolnton government, the Lincolnton local government is it's basically like stifling diversification?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Considering that for a strong economy to survive, you got to be able to at least diversify a little bit, if not a lot. Because if you only rely on one sector for as a revenue, and if that source of revenue collapse, what do you do then?
Oh yeah, and we hit a pitfall several years ago because we were a mill town. The house I live in right now, it was a mill house. And so when the textile industry went belly up, it left not a lot of room for growth here in this town. And luckily, we've been able to recuperate on that now. But right now, most of the jobs here in Lincolnton, it's in one sector. It's in manufacturing, and there's not a whole lot of them still. Mainly, we've just about turned into basically a holding facility for people who work in Charlotte and people who work in Hickory and Gastonia to live here, and they're not working here. And so we have to find a way to bring people who are wanting to work here to Lincolnton.
Yes, because I think that's going to be essential for Lincolnton's future, because Lincolnton really, from the sounds of it, really needs more diversification in jobs so that they can actually build some sort of prosperity,
Most definitely, most definitely.
So I guess with that being said, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything that we missed?
I don't believe so. I think we about covered it all. I just again want to put the emphasis on get your name out there, get your name on the ballot somewhere, because people are the front line of this whole movement. If we don't have anyone's name on the ballot, we're never going to make a difference. And so I'm not saying I'm going to win. I'm not saying I'm going to lose. But I'm going to try my best to win, and I'm going to get our principles out there, and I'm going to let people know that there is another option. And I would encourage other people to do that as well.
And yeah, that's pretty awesome. So we actually still got a few minutes of extra time here, and I don't want to cut this interview short like in the last episode what I did with Justice for All, just because I ran out of topics to talk about. But I guess what is your favorite movie?
Oh, that is tough. Okay, you got me in a pickle here because I love a lot of wide variety of films. I would be remiss if I didn't say Empire Strikes Back, just because I'm named after Star Wars. I have to have one of them on there. But other than Star Wars, I really like Tarantino films. Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, things like that.
That's awesome. What's your favorite food?
Oh, pizza. If it's in the house, it's getting ate. If there's pizza laying around.
All right, that's actually a pretty good answer. What's your favorite drink?
Ooh. In terms of any beverage?
Yeah, any beverage.
Okay. I probably Mellow Yellow. Growing up, my mom always had one in the fridge. it's something that she passed down to me too. That is my favorite soda. But if it's, on a Friday night and I'm sitting out on the porch, just watching cars pass by, I like me a little bit of Woodsford Reserve bourbon. That's probably my favorite.
That's awesome. And with that being said, I guess it would be okay to wrap this up. Anyways, guys, if you all have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below and feel free to type in a comment if you have enjoyed it or not. Hit the subscribe button below in case you're new to the Political Freedom Fighters podcast, and hit the notification bell just in case you want to get notifications on any new uploads to this channel's episodes. So with that being said, I really hope you all enjoyed. And thank you, Jedi, once again for joining me for letting me interview you. It is great to have my first official Libertarian candidate onto this podcast. And with that being said, I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.